Hello, crafting peeps. Thanks for joining me for another look into my studio. And before I get into today's content, I just want to show you how quickly things can change. And you may not remember, but I had showed you this little hallway before, and it has this hanging shoe organizer full of goodies. Well, so this is what's happened. This wall here had some large papers hanging on it, and those are now relocated to an area that makes more sense. And I have hung almost all of my fussy cuts and smaller laying elements in these clear plastic thingies. Super easy access. But here's another change. So this is what happens to me. Right? Like, it's not a bad thing, but this box here, this is all mat board. It's all different thicknesses and colors and finishes of mat board. A local picture and framing company went out of business and they gave away all of their mat board. I mean, this isn't even 5% of their inventory. Anyway, I have more mat board than I'll ever use in my lifetime, and there's so much here. I had to screw this box into my table so that the box doesn't fall over. So this was the best place for me to store this. I really didn't have anywhere else to put it. I do have some smaller pieces in another place, but that's most of it. But this is what happens, right? As we get new supplies and as we come across fantastic deals and we gather way more than we need, we have to look at how we're organized and the best way to store these things. I'm not planning on keeping all of that, by the way, but for now I'm holding on to it. The other thing that changed a little bit is this piece of fabric. I love this piece of fabric. It was hanging up somewhere else in the studio, blocking some things, so I just magneted this to my cabinet. Of course, there's been a few other changes. You'll see those as time comes, but those were the ones that jumped out at me. Okay, for today's video, I had started a list so that I could tell you what we were going to talk about. And I will read the list to you, but you'll see very quickly why I didn't finish the list. Metal dies, punches, embossing folders, scoreboards, stencils, miscellaneous, and then what's in those drawers? That's just where we're starting. So I'm going to try to back up here. At my back, oh, I should tell you who I am and what I'm doing. This is Vicki, the literal crafter in Western New York. And I am sharing a video series to take you into the details of my studio. I'm blessed with a 500 square foot studio that's full of stuff. However, it's highly organized, and what my hope is that, first of all, you'll think I have some cool stuff. I'm a little biased, but I do. But really, I'm hoping to inspire organizational ideas for fellow makers. I know that there's other people out there highly organized as well. Not everybody is. So I'm going to share some tips and tricks as I go. I'm going to show you my stuff. Feel free to comment in the video with questions or suggestions. Also, if you're going through the video and you like what you see, a thumbs up would be appreciated, and continue subscribing to my channel. Okay, we're going to get into it. I am using my GoPro again, so I have my phone that shows me what you see. If you see my phone in the video, it's simply because I set it down so that I could keep an eye on the video and know what you're seeing. Okay, so I have my back to my main work table right now, and I'm trying to give you a view. So when I'm at my table and I turn around, this is what's behind me. We're going to talk about everything from this white cabinet to these drawers today. There's another cabinet here, and we will talk about that, but another time. That is going to get a small reconfiguration, and we'll dive into that cabinet once I get that done. Okay, so I'm going to just start here on my right. Yeah, I'm going to wing this because I'm really not sure the best way to go about this. I'm going to start on this top surface here. So this is just one of those white cabinets that you can obviously buy, and it's press board, you just put it together. And then on the top here, you can see that I put an extra piece of press board wood, and it sticks out maybe 2.5 inches. That 2.5 inches actually gained me quite a bit. So my guillotine cutter fits perfectly on here. But before I put the extension on, when I cut, things would just fall off. Now that gains me enough room that when I cut, my items don't fall off the top of this. So that's just a little tip to think about your space. And is there anything you can do to make it more practical or functional? I find that when I'm working and I feel frustrated about the way I'm set up or anything to do with the function of my I guess, tools or my storage units, I have to fix it because that just slows me down and it puts me in a non-creative space. Okay, so now the top of this is my die cutting station. So I have the Stampin' Up! Version of the Big Shot here. I'll talk about the drill in a minute. Move my phone for this. Here is a box that I made. So, well, the box was already made, obviously. And I put these dividers in it, and I'll see if I can get a good view of the camera just so you can see. So, I don't know if the camera's picking that up or not. There's just packing tape in here. It's not a perfect solution. It's good enough. And so what's in this box are things that I grab to use with my die machine. Right? I have my clear plate. These are 2 tag cut dies that I use a lot. You can see my other tag dies are here, and I can just grab them and use them. I have a couple of shims here. My gray plate. Have another shim. And then I have a couple of extra pads. Sorry about the hiccup in the video. I lost the connection. So anyway, I also have some extra cutting pads, the rubber pad, and an old clear cutting mat. And I use this, you can probably see, it's warped. And I use it when I use my machine unconventionally. I do have a couple of the magic mats, and I'll just really quickly tell you that I really don't recommend them. So the camera's probably not going to show you this. I'm going to see if I can. I'm not going to be able to pick it up. So this is my 3rd full-size magic mat. And it has, the 2 sides are separating. So like I can push on this. Like right here. There's air under that. There's a big bump here. There's a big bump here. Now, 3 mats have done that. That scrapbook.com, they did send me a replacement mat when I contacted them about the first one. And then I had bought another set, and none of them are holding up. So this one is about to separate. It's got a giant warp in it. You can see I've used it on both sides like you're supposed to. So anyway, I really don't recommend those. I'll use them up until I can't, and then I'll go back to the old way. Okay, so why do I have a drill? This is something I learned when I was a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator a long time ago, and I would be getting ready for classes and have to do a ton of die cutting. And so what I learned is I could get a drill, put a socket on the end, remove my handle, And then I can die cut. This will go through fast. I can die cut very quickly without killing my arm on the crank. Now that said, this was really easy to do on my misc machine. The Stampin' Up machine, if you have one and you're interested in switching over to the drill concept, the Stampin' Up machine's attachment is different. So I had to grind this into the right shape and size for my attachment. It was easy to do. I have the tools to do it and the skills to do it. If you don't, and you know somebody who does, they could do that for you. That said, I can still mount my handle on if I need to. Okay, what else is up here? These are just pieces of cardstock as well as packaging that I can grab for my die cut. So these are all pretty small pieces. These are, some of them are somewhat used, some of them are bigger, but this is really just cardstock for the most part. This bin here is all heavier. So like this is from packaging. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I really want my die cuts to be pretty sturdy, and I'll use these. And yes, I spray stain and ink those and all of that good stuff. So this is just my kind of easy grab stuff when I don't need a big piece, and this has worked out for me phenomenally. Okay, let's talk about this top. So you can see I have a piece of plywood on here. The top of this is just cheap vinyl. I got a scrap, I think at Home Depot or something. Let me pull my chair over so hopefully I can give you a good view of this. I think I mentioned this in the overview of my studio. This here, this wooden cubby storage unit, is upside down. And the reason it's upside down is I wanted to gain this space here. This little bit of space, I'm guessing it's about 3, maybe 3.5 inches, right? Because if this was right side up, this space is dead space, and it's a space to accumulate dust. It's a space for my dies to go when I drop them. I turned it upside down. This is just lightly nailed to the feet. And I can easily remove that if I need to. So anyway, under here, I have gained some critical storage. So this top I made to accommodate the largest item I wanted to put here, which is my scoring board. Right? These are kind of awkward to store. They're convenient to have, but not convenient to store. So that's a perfect place for that. And I'm just gonna, again, try to get the camera to show you. So the wooden storage unit is here, and out here is my board. Whoops, let's get you that better view here. So that's what I mean by I made the size of my board to the size of my largest item. So the board starts here, it goes off the back, and it gains me all of that surface space rather than having a 12-inch surface on top. I hope that all makes sense. If not, feel free to ask me questions. Also under here, I have this set of deco rulers. I've only ever used this one, but I have the whole set. And in here is a, let's see if we can get you to see it. Kind of hard to show you what's underneath. There's, I don't know if you can see, there's like a white box under there. And that is there just to keep these from sliding all over the place. So I can just lay these in there and they stay put. Over here, you're gonna laugh, I'm sure we all have things like this. So these are some, well, these are various foil pieces that I've saved from packaging. that I use when I want to make some die cuts. Like these are yogurt ones and they're kind of heavy. And these are here simply because that's where I started them a year ago and I just left them there. These are just, I don't know, brochures or advertising magazines, and I use these for my glue stick, for scrap and things like that. I have my long Sizzix plate in here. I think there's 2 of them there. Yeah, there's 2. This tray, and I've mentioned before, I like the idea of little trays, which is actually a box top. It's here just to contain things so that everything doesn't just spread out all over under here. And then on this end is my long Sizzix dies, my platform. Again, and this you could probably see a little bit better. See that box here? Just keeps them in there so that they don't slide around. So look at all that storage space that I gained by turning this upside down and making my custom top. And the custom top is simply a piece of plywood I sanded so I wouldn't have sharp edges, and I put a piece of cheap linoleum on top. Okay, let's take a look at what is in the cubby. So this square here are all metal dies, and I'm going to show you again another kind of storage tip. So I could have had all of this from the top of my dies to the top of the cubby. All of that space would have been wasted. What I did is I made this half shelf. So I'm going to take this out so that you can see the whole thing. So this is actually a piece from my camper because I customized my camper. So I just cut this as a half shelf front to back. I drilled holes to put the pegs, and this just sits on there. And then on top of that shelf are my magnets and the plastic envelopes that I put all of my dies in. And I might have mentioned this before, I don't remember. One of the things about storage is storing like things in similar containers and storage solutions. So could I keep my dies in the plastic they come in? I could. But that means the packages are going to be all different heights and all different widths. By moving to a consistent storage, I have a very easy means for organizing. So in this bin, I have my dies. They're all labeled. And you can see they're all the same height. I have alphabetical separators here. So those are most of my metal dies. Now when this is full, and it's not full yet, I could probably fit 10 more in there. Then I have to make hard decisions. So another storage tip is create your limits. Right? So if I don't set limits and I just keep accumulating, I'm going to outgrow my space. I'm going to become so packed, it's going to be hard to function. And I don't want that. Okay, I have dies in this box. These are like rectangles, circles, frames, tabs, things that I tend to use more, and I don't want to go through all of my dies to get to them. And then I have 2 of the fat, I don't know what they're called, bigs. Are they called bigs? I don't know. Whatever the fat dies are, I have 2 of those, so they're just standing up back there. So that is my die storage. I won't outgrow this space. I already know I have dies I could get rid of. Next to that are some of my stencils. So I have this bin. This is a very sturdy, this is cardboard. It's almost like wood, it's so sturdy, because this is heavy. This is all of my stencils that are this size and smaller. I have grouped them by categories that make sense to me. And I realize other people would have other categories. It depends on how you work, right? So I have my faves up front. These are ones that I tend to use a lot. This is not my fave. I just didn't file that. Then circles. I love circles. Lots of circles. Grunge. And some of these, some people might argue they're not grunge. It's just how I use them. My geometric. Then I have lines and boxes, which, yes, they are geometric, but I have so many, it's its own category. Elements are, I don't know. I guess I don't have to tell you about every single category. It's just what they are to me. Then I have floral, nature. So that could be trees, bugs, butterflies, everything else but floral. Then I have shapes, travel and adventure. Winter, which I can tell already that I've misfiled a stencil with a couple stencils with Christmas. That's okay. Words and numbers, and I call I have a section that I call motion, which I got rid of all my motion. See, I can purge stuff. And then these are just, why are these back here? Oh, they're duplicates. So they're back there for now. Then I have this. This is going to drive some of you nuts. So I have a folder. I love circles. Oh, this is one of my favorites, so I leave that up front. All my circles are first, one of my favorites. Then floral. And I have a second folder. Those are geometric and elements, nature, industrial, and then signs. Now I do have stencils elsewhere in the studio. When we go to that part of the studio another time, I'll show you, but those are my large stencils. Most of them are 12 by 12, 12 by 14. They don't store well here, but I also don't tend to use those unless I'm working on my mixed media table or my gel plate. So they're stored over in that area. This binder here we won't spend a lot of time in here. This is my stamp reference. These are my rubber stamps that I have. I'll show you this binder when we go through stamp organization. Excuse me for a minute. I need to turn my heater off. Okay. So this is the last cubby on the first shelf. This is just a bunch of clear packaging that I saved. And I originally saved this. I would use it if I was using any kind of acrylic paint on my main table. I would use this as my palette. Some of these that are just blank, I might use as a pocket in a book or whatever. The funny thing is, I haven't reached for this in a very long time. I can probably get rid of it. But you know what? This is how crazy I am. No, I am. All this, I'm just going to get rid of. I don't need it. I don't use it. I don't need it. So we're going to get rid of that. Look at that. A live purge. Okay, I have a Lazy Susan here, and I've thought so many times about, should I do something different with this space, but it really works. So I have a very small container of matte medium that I just keep refilling. And the reason is, if you have a big container that's half empty, you get that skin settling on, and I don't like that. So I just keep refilling this. I have a gallon of matte medium that I refill this from. This is kind of neat if you haven't seen this before, and that needs a refresh. So I'm glad I pulled it out. So it also needs to be cleaned, right? This is my matte medium brush. And so typically, there's none now because it ran out. There's a tiny bit of water in the bottom, right? And these are like shelf liners for a kitchen. Those are folded up in there to keep the brush out of the water. But by keeping this in a sealed container with water in it, it keeps the brush moist. So I don't have to keep washing it every time I use it. Now, normally, I don't know, depending on how much I'm using this, about once a week I add water, and I haven't done that in a little bit. So when I add water this time, I'll clean my brush and then add water and then put it all back in there. So that's where my matte medium is. My glossy accents is on here. I have Distress Collage Medium, which I actually don't care for. I will continue to use it until it's gone, but I won't buy any more. Just a couple of extra brushes. This collage medium in this bottle, there's a video on my YouTube of an experiment that I did with this, and oh my gosh, was it fun. I want to get back to that process and make some things. So this I like to be used in a way that maybe it wasn't intended. I'll have to come back to that. I have all-purpose sealer here. This is my cheap texture paste. If you ever need some cheap texture paste, this stuff's pretty good. The thing about this is it's kind of light and fluffy compared to a regular texture paste. So once it dries, you wouldn't want to rub it super hard. It will take sprays, it will take ink. It's very similar to a regular texture paste. This is just lightweight. I have, this is like Wink of Stella. It's from Stampin' Up! From a long time ago, but you would dip a brush in it. My golden iridescent gold. Oh my gosh, this stuff is awesome. So that's what's on the bottom. On the top, I have nori paste mixed with Elmer's. Ultra Thick Gel Medium. I just bought this by Dina Wakley. I got it at a 50% off sale, so I thought I would play with that. Some Vaseline there. Golden Heavy Gel Matte. Polycrylic. And I've used this primarily to make Mamagami. And that's it. So that's my Lazy Susan. Kind of a hodgepodge mix, but it works for me. Moving on to the second shelf. This is all of my blending foams. Oh, I was looking for these. I'm glad to know I put them there. This goes with my microglaze. If you've never used this, you've got to play with it. Oh my gosh, that stuff is so luscious. This one's almost out. I will scrape the heck out of this. I won't waste any of that. So these are the tools and the blending foams that I have. Oh, how do I say it? So I would use these tools. I have the Distress mini pads, and I would use these tools with that. But all of my ink pads have foams stored on them. When we look at the white cabinet, I'll show you how that storage works. And I might use one of these foams if I'm blending two colors together and I don't want to contaminate my pad. And then, of course, I use them with my Distress glaze here. Okay, this is another opportunity to show you custom storage and how to really optimize your space. Okay, I want to make sure the camera is going to pick this up. Okay, so I took my blending foams out of the space here. So this space goes all the way to here. And I've divided it. So the first thing I did is I have a vertical divider here. Then I have this, but again, I don't like to waste space top to bottom or front to back. So behind here, I actually have my Kleenex, and I don't have to move my foam blending tools to get to that. I can just reach right over and grab Kleenex. There's this little black shelf here. I had it for something else somewhere, and I just repurposed it here. And I made this little box. I put this little handle on it. And there's nothing in here now. Eventually there will be, but it fits perfectly. And again, I don't like to waste any space. I'm sure I've talked about this before. When you have empty space and you have a storage thingy, technical term there, that fits that space, put the storage thingy there. Because then when you're ready to use the space, you have your storage solution all ready to go. Okay, so the rest of this space is obviously that's like folder storage. So I have here, this is all for alcohol ink. It's different types of cardstocks and papers for alcohol ink. Those are my larger pieces. I have smaller stuff stored with the alcohol ink. Then these are for quick grabbing. So these are miscellaneous book pages. These are dyed book pages. And I don't know what happened here. I made these verticals and they fit originally, but now they're loose. I need to make some that fit tighter. I have vintage book pages. I have music sheets. I love making tape. So I have all different kinds of tape that I've made. Then I have, if you ever have like a large sheet that had stickers on it, like this had vinyl on it, I'd keep them because it's a good thing to make your tape on. So now this may seem redundant, right? Because I have all my books. I can just go tear pages out. But I'm kind of a lazy crafter, and when I'm working along, I like to just spin around and grab. That's why that's there. Doesn't have to be here. If I wanted this space for something else, I can certainly do away with this and just go to the actual books and pull pages. But again, setting up your space to how you work the most is really important. Okay, so the other half of the second shelf is that same size. And again, it's divided. So on the top here, I have my hole punches. I have 3 sizes of hole punches. And this is, what is this? Oh, I forgot what this punch is. I don't know. Oh, this makes it look like a spiral book. That's what that is. Okay, and then I have my corner rounder and my ticket punch. These are in here. I use them often, so they're easy to grab. And these don't store well with my other punches, which we'll see in a moment. Okay, under here I have 3 drawers, colored strips. So these are pieces of fabric. Many of them are clothing that I salvaged. Like this is a hem. And I use these quite often. Sometimes I write on them with a fine liner applicator. Sometimes I tear them and use them. And I don't keep everything. Again, I have to fit in here, and I don't want this so packed that I can't pull something out. Then these have patterns on them, or they're ones that I've already written on. So like that's one I already painted on. Here's another one. Some of them are floral. They have some kind of pattern to them. And then these are mostly white and cream. Okay, then I have some dyed lace. This is mostly coffee dyed. There's some walnut dyed in here. And I do have some coffee dyed trims hanging up elsewhere. And I know there's a fine line between lace and trim, but this is how my mind thinks. So this is more lace and my trim is elsewhere. And this is here simply because it fits there. I don't need it here. I don't need it someplace that I can just whip around in my chair and grab it. It just fits. So that's where it is. These are my all of my distress paints, and these are not with my mixed media stuff because I tend to use these on my work table here more than I do on my gel plate. It's probably a crazy thing, but these are very expensive compared to the cheap paints I used on my gel plate, and I don't want to use these up on my gel plate. I do occasionally, but not so much. So those are here because I normally use them over here. Okay, we're going to take a look at the bottom of my space here. Let me back up a little so you can see. So we have 3 units divided here and here. And this is really, truly, we're getting even more into a hodgepodge. This is Wendy Vecchi's magnetic board, if you will. And I believe there's a quick tip video on my site where I share what I think was a genius discovery about what you can do with this board or on this board. So I do encourage you to check that out. It was like life-changing for me in terms of working on collage and tissue paper. So that's there because it stores well there. I have 3 of these little frosted plastic binders. And this has printed tags and bookmarks. So these are things that I either designed, like there's a background sheet that I designed, printed, and then die cut, or digitals that I bought and then die cut. And every time I look at this, I think I need to just give that stuff away. I don't use it. I just make what I need when I need it. These are all sentiments, die cut sentiments. And then these are large fussy cuts that don't fit in my organizers on the wall. And then I have, I bought a kit of laser cut charcoal colored things. They're all in here. And I'll give you a hint, right? So let me show you what I'm talking about. It's this, and I can't remember who this is by. Anyway, I never should have punched them out. I should have left them on the sheet, but I punched them all out. They're harder to store that way. So I love these, I think they're chipboard binders. I get them at Hobby Lobby. I do need to decorate them at some point, but I just love them. In this binder here are some, these are scrapbook papers from like the pads, and they have elements on them that I would cut out and use, and I thought leaving them on the pads doesn't really help me that much. So anything that had a sentiment, when I came by it, I tore it off and put it in here. Some of my 12 by 12 pads have them as well, and those are in a different place because they're too large for this. These are just some things that I've cut out of magazines. I won't continue to do this. I don't want to store a lot of things like this. But these were some powerful words that I am likely to use in projects, so I put them on here. And this is just a tip. So they're stuck on that paper. I'm going to show you here what I used. Excuse the camera moving around. So they are stuck on here with Tombow removable adhesive. It's just a tape runner. So the nice thing is I can just pop it off of there. This rubs right off, and then put my permanent adhesive on to put it on a project. Now, if you're one to use a lot of this type of thing, you could create a binder for that. I don't know. I might go alphabetical or by category of words, but I don't use a lot of these, so I'm not going to set up a whole binder for that. These are packaging from stamps. See if I can get that so you can see it. And you can use these in projects. You can cut them up or use them whole as a background. This one in particular could make a cool pocket overlay on a page. You can make a whole pocket out of that. And here's a fun tip for you. These will take alcohol ink beautifully. So it's a great way to get color on these and use them in your project. Ooh. And you know by this point that I like my categories. So these are all word and sentiments up here, and these are all not. Well, I mean, there's some words on here, but these are other things. And then this back here is reference. A couple years ago when I learned about junk journaling and mixed media, I fell in love with pastes, and you're going to see here in a minute my paste obsession. But because of the memory challenges I have from surgery many, many years ago, I had to keep relearning. You know, I'd get a paste out and want to use it, say, with a spray, and I couldn't remember, is this a good paste to use with a spray? So these are just little reference pages that I can look at and know. Like this is gesso. How do the distressed products in particular respond to gesso? And this one I actually use a little bit. So matte medium on the bottom, gesso on the top, Tombow on the bottom, gesso on the top, collage medium on top and bottom. So depending on the look I want, I know what to go after. So anyway, this is just a reference book of different mediums and such. Okay, almost through this one cabinet here. Whoop. I don't want to look at the floor. Okay, I have a couple more drawers here. This is, I don't know, maybe industrial screen. It's got like kind of a rubbery plastic. I'm really not sure what it is. It could make a good pocket. Got some cardboard in here. These are just empty doodad holders. And then I have a drawer of doodads. These are, it's just miscellaneous. There's a lot of brads in here. Some various fastener type things. Flat-backed gems. These are some of my favorites. If you've never used these, see if I can get the camera to pick that up. They're like, oops, they're like dewdrops. Of course, now I have a dewdrop on the floor somewhere. I'll find it when I step on it. And then there's some like kind of gray ones as well. But the dewdrops just are fantastic. Down on the very bottom here. This is empty, but I just want to tell you what I did to it to make it useful. I got this thrifting. It's very thin, very cheap, and these fabric separators just would kind of collapse. So all I did, I used fabric tack and glued cardboard to make them stiff. I mean, I could even use this like to put ephemera in if I wanted, because it has enough structure to hold it. Don't know what's going there, but I'll keep saying it. I have an organizer that fits, so I put it there. When I'm ready, I can use it. These are more fabric strips, but they're wide and they're chunky, and they don't fit in these drawers. So I put them down there. And then I have punches here. These are some of my flat punches, most of them Stampin' Up. These are smaller punches. And then larger punches on the bottom. And I just want to point out some of the customization here. So these spaces are tall, and that's fine if you have like a tall binder or folders or something. But if you don't, you can break up that space. So I gained organization here by adding a shelf. So right here, all I did was drill my 4 holes, put my pegs in, and again, that's a part of my camper that I customized, so I just reused the paneling. And I did the same thing over here. And I should show you up here what I did. So here, I have, I wanted to be able to stack these boxes, and I have just enough room. So there wasn't room to put pegs. So this shelf is actually not fully supported. It's just an L shape. And it works because it's wedged against here. This is underneath it. And this is light. So even when I pull the paint out, the shelf doesn't collapse because what's on top is light. So again, thinking creatively about how we use our space. And that works. So, the other thing I don't think I've told you yet is this unit. So keep in mind, this whole unit here is upside down. And then, so this piece here is actually the top of the unit, which is now the bottom, would have sat just flat on the floor. What I did is, and I'm going to try to get down here with the camera. I added a piece of 1x, they're called 1x, they're 3/4 inch thick pieces of wood. I mounted my casters to that, and then I mounted that to the press board. So 1/2 inch press board is not going to hold a caster, so I added wood to it. So this unit is on wheels. It's easy to move, easy to get under, clean, etc. Okay, let's take a look at the cabinet. I know that there's some curiosity. I have a lot of these metal cabinets down here, and people are curious, so we're going to start with this one. But I want to show you what's on top. So this cabinet is about 2.5 feet front to back. It's very deep. And hang on a second, I got to move my phone so I can see what you see. So this is the top of the cabinet. Towards the other side of the cabinet, I have that 3-tiered porcelain, I think it's a dessert display. Chris's daughter gave it to me. It's pretty precious. So I laid some doilies on it. And when I first got into junk journaling, I just loved like all the journal covers with the brooches and just the things on them. And I started thrifting jewelry and things, and that's part of my collection. Even though my studio is very practical, I do try to keep some things around that are inspirational. So that's one of the things that I like to have there. The other thing that's on that back side is this black piece that you're looking at, hopefully. That is a very old notary stamp that will actually give the impression. I'm going to see if I can grab that piece of paper from here. Yep, I can. So hopefully the camera is showing you. That's what it stamps. And I thrifted that recently, actually. Okay, so, the other thing that's up here, this is just a pile of scrap paper on the top. It's funny, I don't know about you guys, you know, being a journal maker, you'd think that there's all kinds of paper around to write on. There never is. Well, because I'm picky, I'm not going to grab a good sheet of paper and scrap it. And then I just have this notebook up here. Sometimes I just want a lined sheet for some reason to take notes on or whatnot. Okay, now what's in the cabinet? Anything without labels is empty. But we're going to look anyway because it's not empty. So what's in here are just some boxes, if you will, I came across or maybe had used for something else. And I threw them in here because these drawers are deep. They're almost 2.5 feet. See how long that is? See if I can show you that. And if I just throw stuff in there loose, it's going to get to be a mess really quick. So I like to have boxes to organize. You know me, I like to separate and categorize. So that's why those are in there. When things get organized into these drawers, I may or may not use those boxes. They're there if I want them. Okay, let's see if my labels are accurate. Pigment powders, mica, earth elements. So we got Perfect Pearls, which I've only tried once. So some of this stuff I got thrifting pretty cheap, which is why I have it. And because I got it so cheap, I don't feel as bad that I don't use it that often, I guess. I don't know. These are Lindy's Gang. I actually thought this was something else when I bought it. I put it in these shakers. I had these shakers from something else and repurposed them. And I haven't played a lot with these. I guess I just have to really learn how to make them work. Ken Oliver's Color Bursts. Again, some pigment powder. Brusho is a lot of fun. I have found Brusho mostly in packs, and I'm very interested in the neutrals, but they don't have a pack of neutrals. I bought this on sale on, I think it might have been Amazon. I'm not sure. And I just wish I could get more neutrals. I would use it more. If you've never played with earth elements, oh my gosh, these are so yummy. And then another product, if you've never used, highly recommend, is Aqua Bronze. So I have 3 colors. I have gold, copper, and silver. This is super, super fine. I would open it, but it is super, super fine, and I don't want it to go all over the place. Maybe someday I'll just do a quick tip video to show you what it is and how to use it. But think some of the best watercolor ever in these colors in metallic. That stuff is just luscious. And let me tell you the texture you can build with that. And then these are all micas. Brace yourself, guys. I've never used mica flakes. I've got to start playing with that because I'm very intrigued. So in the back of that drawer is just an empty box. Again, it fits perfectly in that space. It prevents all of this from sliding back. And when I'm ready to use that, there's an organizer there. Okay, latex gloves, miscellaneous desk. So we got latex gloves. My staplers are in here. This little box is a holdover. This was on my original work table 2 years ago. And I'm going to put it on my work table now because I need to clean it out. There's a few things in there that need to go. And then I have cheesecloth, steel wool, sandpaper, pipe cleaners, some distressing things, colored staples. Oops. Okay, I disturbed my mica. Now my drawer doesn't want to close. Lunar Solar Shimmer Paste and a whole bunch of stuff in this drawer. So far, the labels are accurate. I might have mentioned I am obsessed with paste. This is the entire line of Simon Hurley's Lunar Paste. This stuff is gorgeous. And I know that so many companies make stuff. I've never used Stencil Butter, whatever company makes that brand, I guess. But I'm imagining this is similar. It's just this is all shiny. Almost metallic, I would say. I also have the 6 original lunar pastes. I think they've added more. But I don't use it that much. Then I have these. I don't know if anybody has these. So this is metallic gilding polish. Who is this by? Cosmic Shimmer. I actually don't care for these. I got them half off when a store went out of sale or went out of business. And I don't know. I don't use them that much. Maybe I just need to play with them a little more. I don't care for the applicator that comes with it. I know I could use brushes or other things. They're very, very vivid and very glittery. 2 things that I normally don't incorporate. But we'll see if I play with those. All kinds of the Nouveau drops. You can see I have some colors, but they're quite muted. These I got at that sale where you paid $50 for a box and whatever fit in it. So these were very cheap. I've only used one, but I would like to play with them and learn about them. I have some gouache watercolors. These I thrifted. Some more watercolors. You know what's funny? I don't know about you guys. I'd love to hear people's thoughts on this. So a couple of these Nouveau drops I bought, maybe say 25% off. Most of them I got 50% off or in that box sale. Anyway, my thought is like these, which I got thrifting 39 cents a pound. So this whole set was pretty cheap. I'll play with these and quote unquote waste them, right? And it's not that I'm going to purposely waste them, but if I really screw up with them and just make something that I just can't live with, I'm okay with it. But like these, I think I got maybe Amazon or maybe when Joann's was open, probably not on a great sale. So these, like, I don't want to play with or experiment with these. I don't know. It's a weird thing. When I thrift something cheap, I'm okay with some waste, I guess. Things become more precious when they become more expensive. So I have some foundry wax. These are different patinas. More there's some liquid pearls. These are ones I use more. Liquid pearls in here. I forgot what these are called. I'm sure some of you will know what they're called. They're a specific brand. I don't know what the brand is, but they're little watercolors, I guess. My friend gave me these. Made me really sad. She's quite talented as an artist, and she pretty much cleared out almost her entire art studio. Sure, it benefited me. I got some stuff, but it just made me sad because that kind of talent not being used on a regular basis is just really sad. Anyway, my distress pastes, I might have mentioned, I really like pastes. This I got at a recent sale, 50% off. It's the Seth Apter Crackled Paste. Can't wait to try that. In the back here are unopened pastes that I just have on hand, so when I use these up, I can pull those. I just want to mention something because I know that there's a thought out there, use up your paste before it goes bad. So many of these pastes, like my Twinkle, what is that? Oh, that's my new one. Like my Sparkle paste, this is at least a year old, probably more. Oops. Oh, of course, the one I choose does that. And it's actually fine. It's almost empty, but it's fine. If you take care of your pastes, and yes, I've done the press and seal wrap to secure them, and then I've done the rubber band thing. Both of those solutions seem to work. So I don't have a problem with pastes going bad, except the Prima Marketing Rust Effect paste. So this could be literally solid right now. It doesn't keep. It's getting solid. I need to use that up. This paste does not keep. It doesn't matter what I do. I can put press and seal down in there. Once you open Prima Marketing Rust Effects, you got to use it. But what I was going to tell you is I live a little bit rural. We do not have any shops. The closest shop that might carry a couple of these pastes is an hour and a half away. And so that's one of the reasons why I keep the paste that I use more. I keep a new jar on hand, is because otherwise I have to order from Ranger and pay shipping or scrapbook.com or whatnot. So anyway, I'll make an order so that I can get free shipping, and then I just hang on to it until I'm ready. This is a drawer of tape. I'm not going to go through all the tape. I will say this is brand new. I haven't used it yet. It's called heat tape, but I want to play with that soon. I love making tapes. So there's just all different kinds of tape. Cello tape, masking tape, screen tape, drywall tape. Okay, now these drawers here, from here to here, are all scrap paper. Oops. I think my camera tilted there. So grunge, and I just called this specialty. The little boxes that are inside are just to catch some little pieces. And so I will pull from these two drawers because these are, you can tell, like all of my specialties just about are neutral. I do tend to pull those. This is brown and coffee, and they're not in the same drawer because of the volume. And this is, some of these are more than scraps. It's just that it makes sense to put them in here. There's some pieces that, like are stenciled on, but it makes sense for them to be in there. And then I have my color, black, gray, white, and cream. And then this is just all multicolored. I can't really put it in one drawer or another. And then the colors. So pink, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. And Let me see if I can give you. So the drawers slide out and I can get to the back easily. Now, I don't use a lot of the scraps in these two drawers. I tend to make what I need when I need it. So pretty soon I'm going to purge a lot of the stuff. I haven't decided whether I'm going to just throw some masterboards together. I just haven't decided what I'm going to do. But a bunch of this stuff I'm just never going to use. Okay, so these two drawers, tag and tag components. These are all new package tags that were either purchased or given to me or whatnot. And I'm going to show you how insane this is. All of these are Dina Wakley Mixed Media number 8 tags. So if you've never worked on a Dina Wakley tag, you're missing out. This is a heavy-duty mixed media cardstock that takes water and sprays and ink beautifully. Those are there because when Joann's was open and they allowed us to stack coupons, normally around the holidays, I could get those very cheap. They'd be 50% off, then I could apply a coupon or two, and I got them dirt cheap, and that's why there's so many. These are tags that have been started in some way. Some of them I will probably never work on. Other ones I just love, like this. I gotta do something with this one soon. Look at that. And some of these are finished tags. Other tag related things in the back, and then the bottom. So these are vintage stamps organized by color. These I need to do something about. I ended up Google image searching some of these stamps and found out some of them are worth some money. So I probably need to do eBay or something. And these aren't staying in here, which is why the drawer's not labeled. I know they're there. I just need a permanent solution for my stamps. And this is just my vintage stamps. I got my hands on a massive stamp collection for $20. But they're not vintage, they're collector stamps. And I just got them all sorted. I need to figure out how to store everything. These are just some miscellaneous die cuts. I'm probably just going to trash them. I never reach in there and pull anything out. Okay, so that also is on wheels. So this here, oops, let's see if I can give you a better view here. I don't know if you can see that. So the cabinet's like a tannish color, and then this deep gray is what's called a furniture mover. I get those at Harbor Freight. They're quite cheap. They handle a lot of weight. So this is essentially a wooden frame that is on large industrial casters that are actually, these casters are safe for the floor. And I can move that whole thing very easily. Okay, so we took a look at this section. This is in my main work area. As you heard, there are some things in here that don't need to be so close to my main work area, but they fit really good and they optimize storage space, and that's why they're there. If I wanted to swap something else out that I use more, I could. But for now, this is working really well. And I just realized I omitted an entire part of that white cabinet. I'm going to go back to that white cabinet for a minute. We talked about the top, but we didn't talk about what's in the cabinet. Just get my phone set up there. Okay, so I adjusted shelves. I made more holes to make shelves. So this top shelf, it's just this foamy pad and brush. I'm sure many of you have this to get the little pieces out of your die cuts. And then I have parchment paper and wax paper to use, well, the wax paper is to use with my dies. Another foam pad in there. Parchment paper is here just for convenience, nothing to do with my dies. And then I have some foil to use with my dies as well. Now, right now, like when I look at this, there's a lot of empty, wasted space here, and I'm probably going to change this and make better use of this. Funny how when you see things on camera, it's suddenly different. These are my embossing folders. So I have backgrounds and patterns, geometric, words, numbers, and elements, and then floral and nature. This is what I'm allowing myself for my embossing folders. Nothing more than this. Now that said, the fine print for all of us as makers is we have the right to change our mind. Before I were to expand beyond this space, I would go through my folders and probably purge. There's some in there that I just never use, I'm not going to use, and I would get rid of them. But I do have the option. I could get a larger box like this and let it go deeper into the cabinet. So that's an option as well. But those are my folders for now. Back here are some, these are like little notebooks and little tear-off notebooks that I got at Joann's. I think they ended up being 50 cents a piece. You know, I like to cover those or tuck those into projects. And again, they're there just because they store well there. There is a box in the back there, and that is just the additional pieces for my Sizzix machine that I took off to put the drill on. Oops, I don't know if you can see that box. But again, making use of as much space as I can. In here are some envelopes. This is a small portion of my envelopes. These are so I've always thought of a traditional envelope as a standard card size for cards that we make, like 4 1/4 by 5.5 cards. So these are all not that. These here, a lot of coin envelopes here, a lot of envelopes that I've dyed in some way or prepped in some way. And then this is like junk mail envelopes, security envelopes, and then this is like, I don't know how to call this, maybe office supplies, rubber bands, baggies of various sizes. These are my extra tape runners. Yep, so that's that. Okay, now we're done, guys. I do appreciate you hanging out for the video. I hope that you found some inspiration or maybe justification for your own volume of supplies. Hey, I'm okay with you saying, wow, she's got a lot of stuff, and that just makes you feel better. So that works too. Anyway, I'm glad you came along. Hopefully I'll be able to do videos on a regular cadence now that the holidays are done. Once again, I do appreciate a thumbs up if you like the video. Consider subscribing to my channel, and hopefully I'll see you back here soon. Thanks, guys.